Howdy y'all, I am Ice Gold, and today I'm going to be going over the best pet bodies for every school, the top 3, and a bunch of these schools do have honorable mentions that I'll be throwing in as well. And pets matter a hell of a lot in this game. They can give you so many different important stats. They're also super customizable. They are the only piece of gear that is really customizable beyond pins, I guess, but pins don't even go to your main school, so how about that? Anyway, so pets in Wiz, they matter a lot, as I said, and I'll be going over the top 3 pet bodies for every single school, all 7 of them, for this video. So there's going to be some constants that you see. There's going to be sort of a priority when it comes to the cards that the pet bodies give that I have sort of placed across this list, but you'll probably get it as we go along. So let's go ahead and start with the Fire School. So Fire, the best pet body for Fire Wizards, in my honest opinion, is the Fire Class Pet. Now, the problem is with the Fire Class Pet is that it drops from the Decathlon, and that's a whole side activity that requires a lot of prep for, so, you know, if you have it, you have it, but if not, I would say don't sweat it. The reason why it's good is because it gives a pet blade card. That's going to be the first constant that you see. These blade cards that the pets give stack with regular blades, so that is why they are super important. But the thing that sets the Fire Class Pet apart is the fact that they also give a pet Sharpened Blade, which also stacks with regular Sharpened Blades. So if I have, 4 of these fire blades, then I can use a regular Sharpen on one, and then a regular blade for the second one, and then I can use the pet blade for the third, and then a pet card Sharpen for the fourth. And just like that, I have 4 blades. 4 of technically the same single blade up. And if that's not strong, I don't know what is. So that is why the class pets make these lists. So second place is the Ornery Kookaburra. Right here, Little Rascal is my Ornery Kookaburra that I used while I was questing, and these little birds, they give the pet blade as aforementioned, but they are set apart by the fact that they also get this 100% accuracy meteor strike that does some extra damage along with it, and this is really, really good if you are just starting out. So definitely try and get your hands on a Kookaburra, an Ornery Kookaburra for that matter. Like when you're just starting out on a Fire Wizard, because both of these cards are very, very good if you can have them lined up on a pet before you even start playing. So this is a godsend for all the right reasons. And the next pet, the Sun Serpent, which I don't actually think I have one on me, but I'm sure I have some floating around in my bag somewhere. But the Sun Serpent pet is sort of a step up from this, the Ornery Kookaburra, in its own way, because while the Ornery Kookaburra is my personal go-to because it gives a pet blade and a 100% meteor strike that helps your wizard start out, the Sun Serpent pet gives this fire blade and then a pet fuel, which also stacks with regular fuel, but you don't really use fuel too much while you're questing, and then it gives a Sun Serpent pet card. And the Sun Serpent pet card, for those unaware, it's I think 7 pips, and then it basically does what Sun Serpent does, but just slightly weaker. And if y'all know me, I love the Sun Serpent spell. It is amazing, without a doubt, because it's a really, really good like boss hammer, and then it'll also send a cleanup hit to all the minions. So this on a pet card that you can get before, level 88, when you would usually get this, is really, really good. And Sun Serpent, it's just really, really great for that reason, just as a pet. Moving on to the Ice School, we have the Freezing Raincore in the first place spot, and this pet, you can sort of just tell. All 3 of these cards are useful in some form or fashion while you're questing as an ice. like the aforementioned Pet Blade card that stacks with regular blades. Really, really good. This 35% Balefrost Bubble is also really, really helpful. And then this ice-specific Supercharge it can be really, really good as well. This pet and the Supercharge card, it's like you can use this while you're questing, and it'll buff up your hits a ton more, which is really important when you're questing an ice, because ice just doesn't do that much damage. The Frost Giant buff helps us a lot, but you know, it's always nice to have that. So the Supercharge, it's kind of nice. It's sort of like the cherry on top to these two already useful cards. So Freezing Rancor will take the #1 spot without a doubt. In the second place spot, we have the Ice class pet, for the same reason that the Fire class pet was on the Fire list, because it gives the same, you know, Pet Blade with the Pet Sharpen, and then it also gives like a shield card, but that part's not important. So yeah, and then yeah, it's like a Pet Blade and a Pet Sharpen that stack with regular blades and sharpens. Can't go wrong with that. And then in third place is the Mountain Yeti pet, and this pet, it's up here because it gives the usual blade, but it also gives a Tundra Lord pet card, which can be good for when you are, you know, starting off, still working on getting Frost Giant, that type of deal. And it's good, you know, it's an 8-pip AoE that you can just get on a pet, use at any level. It's good when you're starting out, for sure, and it even remains relevant up until you get enchants in Celestia. So Mountain Yeti, that's going to be on there. And then an honorable mention goes to the Frosty Eye pet, and the Frosty Eye, I don't actually think I have one on me, unfortunately, but Frosty Eye gives, you know, a blade, and then it also gives like an AoE stun, which can be useful sometimes, but it also gives a 100% Blizzard card. And for the same reason that I have Ornery Kookaburra in the Fire list, that's why I've got the Frosty Eye in here as an honorable mention for the Ice list, because that can also be good when you're starting out. I personally recommend the Mountain Yeti over it just because of the stronger hit, but it's still good to have Frosty Eye just for that 100% accuracy Blizzard. It can be nice with that. And additionally, one thing that I did want to mention that I forgot to at the start of the video, like I had in my little script going on, but the Enchanted Armament pet, which you'll see on screen now, is pretty cracked. It's like, up to this point, I've talked about how the class pets from each school give a Sharpened Blade, and the Enchanted Armament gives up to 3, which you can probably tell why that's good. It's like being able to sharpen your blades, even if you can't get like a usual pet blade, it's still very good, and any school can use the Enchanted Armament pet. So, you know, if that's what you got, then I would say go for it. It's a really good pet. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. Just the same as all of these others. There's just better specific, like school-specific pets is what I'm kind of going on about here. So the #1 pet body for the Storm School is going to be the Storm class pet. Again, Pet Blade, Pet Sharpen, pretty nice. Don't think I need to say much more on that. The second place will go to the Zappy Glowbug pet. This, like some of the other pets that you'll see on this on these lists, is like the Zappy Glowbug. It gives the Pet Blade that I mentioned so many times at this point, but it also gives a Gargantuan enchant, and enchants in this game are really, really good. As you can no doubt tell, it adds 225 base damage to a spell, and you unlock this usually at level 58 here in Celestia. You can train it at the Floating Land, whose theme I have probably burned into my brain at this point from all the streams I did the other week. But you kind of get where I'm going with this. Having an enchant early game is really, really good, and, you know, having that Gargantuan, it'll help like well into like Celestia, and honestly, even into Zafaria. You know, you don't even need to train like regular Gargantuan up until you can get Colossal late in the Zafaria questline. So for a very long time, that enchant from the Zappy Glowbug stays relevant, and I would absolutely recommend it if you can get your hands on one. So, Zappy Glowbug, that's going to go in the second place spot. For the third place spot, and this honestly kind of drops down quite a bit, and I don't even have it on me. That's that's crazy. But the Raincore pet. This is a Storm exclusive pet, so you have to train it on a Storm. But it gives a blade. It gives a unique XPip overtime type of card, which I honestly never use. And then it also gives a Dark Wind. So it's like the Freezing Raincore, but worse. And that's kind of funny because this is the base version of the Raincore, but. Yeah, you know how it is. But this base Raincore, it is good. It's good, you know. So if you can get it, then I would say get it. It's probably the most accessible out of this top 3, and you know, there's other pets like the Clamoring Gulcher, but I honestly think it's just worse. So basically, just prioritize the pet that gives a pet blade is what I'm really getting at here. So for Myth's top 3, coming in at the first place is. It's kind of a unique finisher for this list. It's the Plucky Griffin pet that drops from the Sinbad Horde pack, and this is a pet that it's sort of, this is by far the best. It's like, for all the others, you know, it's like maybe the class pet was a step above, or like the Freezing Raincore, for example. But for Myth specifically, the Feint pet card that you get, that, as you could probably guess, stacks with the other like feints, like Potent Feint and then regular Feint, as well as Amulet Feint. A lot of feints. You can get like 4 feints with this pet card, and it's like the Feint pet card is sort of the highest priority that I could really give a pet body. So not that many have it, but for the ones that do, and the Plucky Griffin specifically is number 1 here because it also gives a pet blade. So pet blade, pet feint. The Basilisk card is cool, I guess, but not really relevant. But the Plucky Griffin is on top for those reasons, and it's not hard to see why. Like, having a 4th feint that you can stack is so nice. So yeah, without it kind of goes without saying. For the other schools that you're gonna see here, like a couple of them have pet bodies that have feints just as an option. So yeah, pet feint, it's pretty nice. In second place, we have the Myth class pet, and you know why it's here. You know why it's here at this point. So moving on to the third, we have the Myth Dactyl, and this, like the Zappy Glowbug, gives this Gargantuan enchant along with the pet blade. So without a doubt, this is a pretty good combo. And then it also gives this Earthquake 100% accuracy pet card. It does good damage, to be honest, and this is a really good combo. This is a winner combo for early on in the game. And on a lot of these other schools, if they had something like the Myth Dactyl, it would probably be number 1. But Myth just has such like good options. So yeah, I mean, Myth Dactyl, it's on this list for a reason. It's got that pet blade, it's got that enchant, and it's got this neat little card that you can use just sort of as you're questing in the early game. So would recommend getting the Myth Dactyl. Out of these 3, this is by far the most accessible because the Plucky Griffin, you can't put in the kiosk, so you gotta find somebody who, you know, has it. And then the Myth class pet, you can't even get if you don't do Decathlon. Like, it's an exclusive. So if you're a Myth, this is the go-to, I would say. And some honorable mentions that I'll give for this are the Wandering Eye pet, which I don't know if I have another one of those on me. But oh well. They're probably floating around in my bag. But the Wandering Eye gives a pet blade, obviously, and then it also gives a Lord Humunga Frog card, which does mass. So yeah, it's up there for a reason. It's sort of like the Mountain Yeti type deal, but for Myth. So it's like big 8-pip hit, AoE hit, that type of deal. It's really useful. So I like it. I used it while I was questing this Myth. And then the other honorable mention that I like to give is the Fabled Howler pet from the Beast Moon Hunt. And This pet, it gives 2 pet blades. It gives the myth blade and pet spirit blade, which it's just another blade to stack. Just not as good as the other pets, pretty much. Kicking off for the life school, we have the life class pets in first, for obvious reasons, and then for the second spot, we have the lively opossum. And this, as well as all the other opossums, they are really, really good to get. Cute little guy that gives a pet blade. The spirit's not relevant, but it also gives a Blade Storm pet card, which, to be honest, it's just an extra buff. It's kind of nice. That's why it's here. that's why the lively opossum is here. I would highly recommend this to any life wizard who is like already above level 48 or has like rat spin or something, because early game for life, it can be kind of pain. So, you know, but after that, this is the best by far, outside of the life class pet, but this is the best that most people can access by far, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, lively opossum, easy second place. And then for third place, we have the Timberland Yeti, which I did make one of way back. It's what I used to quest, but it's like all the others, seemingly, it's floating around in my bank again, so how about that? The Timberland Yeti gives a Forest Lord item card that actually does mass, so yeah, it's good. It's good, without a doubt. It's the best AoE that life can get up until, I think maybe Giant or Monstrous enchants will eventually make base Forest Lord surpass it, but you get the picture pretty much. It's good at what it does. It gives you that pet blade. It gives you that good AoE hit. It's a really good early game pet that I like. So definitely go for the Timberland Yeti. I'm pretty sure they're in the kiosk. Pretty sure that's where I made mine. So go for that. And then a couple honorable mentions go to the Kookaburra pet, which I know I have one on. Okay, so yeah, the Kookaburra pet. This is sort of every life wizard's go-to in the early game because it gives the pet blade, regen is kind of whatever, but it also gives this Leaf Storm card, which is really, really good early on. So yeah, Leaf Storm, you love to see it. It's just a good little 4-pip AoE for your early game questing experience. So would recommend. It's nice. And then for the next one, the next two actually, the Life Dactyl and Lively Glowbug. Both of these give a pet blade and a pet enchant. I forgot what the Life Dactyl gives outside of those two. I think the Glowbug just gives those two, but for the Life Dactyl specifically, forgot what it gives, but it's up on screen right now, so you can see it. I can't. Whiz. Now, Death is like the cream of the crop. If you're a Death Wizard, there are so many pets to choose from. So strap in, because I've got the main 3, and then I've got like 4 honorable mentions. So yeah, the first place finisher goes to a pet that I actually don't have, the Scrappy Griffin / Avenging Fossil. They are literally the exact same pet. I don't know if it was just an oversight on KI's part when they were making the Sinbad pack, but the Avenging Fossil and the Scrappy Griffin both give the exact same 3 cards: a Blade, a Feint, and an Avenging Fossil type hit. And you can see why it's up at the top. It gives a Blade and a Feint and a nice little hit, so it's kind of good for starting out as you're questing as well. So that is why it is here at number 1. For the second place finisher, we have the Gulcher pet, which, as you can see, also gives a Blade and a Feint. Age of Reckoning doesn't really matter, but, you know, Gulcher's nice. It's very accessible, but it is a Death exclusive like the Rain Core is. So, yeah, you will have to be a Death to train up one of these. So, yeah, Gulcher it's good. It's good. That's kind of the end of it. And then the Darkhound pet gives just a regular Death Blade and a Feint as well. So that'll put it in third place. And that's where all 3 of them, you know, give a Blade and a Feint. Hard to argue with that. For the honorable mentions, this is the only school where the death class pet is going to be like not in the top 3 because of how good Feint is. But you know why the death class pet is good? It's not real accessible, but it is good. And then the Gloomy Eye pet, which I also think is floating around in my bank somewhere. But basically, it gives a Colossifrog item card, and like the Kookaburra is desirable for early game life wizards, this is desirable for early game death wizards, because it gives that blade, it gives that, you know, cheap AoE that you can use, and it's kind of just nice. The Ghastly Opossum is also on my honorable mention list for the same reasons that the Lively Opossum is there on my life wizards list. You know, it's a blade, it's a blade storm, it's kind of nice. Just it's 2 buffs on the same pet, which is good. You know, it's like, that's why the Lively Opossum was on the life list. So Ghastly Opossum is also good for death wizards. Lastly, we have the Wildwood Yeti, which is the Death Yeti pet. It gives a blade and a Bone Tree Lord, so it's like, it's good for starting off. You know, it's like, take your pick rather out of these 7. So yeah, death just gets a lot of good options. So some are more accessible than others. Like the Avenging Fossil pet actually is very accessible. But stuff like the Scrappy Griffin, Death Class pet, etc., it's a little harder. So Avenging Fossil is what I would recommend to every new death wizard, provided, you know, you can get through the first arc reasonably quickly. So alright, I still have this Drommel transformation on. Anyway, for the first place spot, I finally have one of the first place spots. It's the Snappy Griffin. As you can no doubt tell, if you come to my streams, you can tell that I love this pet. This might just be the singular most useful pet body that any school has ever. Like, to say the absolute least. It's like, you have this Balance Blade, you have this Feint, and you have this Lernean Hydra. Matter of fact, I don't know why I didn't put this on all of the others, because any school can use the Balance Blade. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb or something for not having put this on literally every other list, but you got the picture. Balance Blade, Pet Blade, you know, is what it is there. And then the Feint, obvious reasons. And then this Lernean Hydra is so useful, especially in the early game, because it's like, up until I got Nested Fury, this was my go-to non-balance AoE hit. And I got Nested Fury at around level 110. So just to put this in perspective, this pet card was useful all the way up until then. So yeah, this little pet card, this little guy right here, this is your best option as a balance, and really for a lot of schools, because having a blade that you can use, a pet blade that you can use alongside a Feint is hard to argue with. So there's probably pet collectors out that have made, you know, Snappy Griffins for every single school, and yeah, it's just, this is probably the best pet in the game, in terms of how useful it is. So yeah, I mean, to balance wizards especially. So it's like, that's why this pet is just so good. And I would recommend that every balance wizard at least tries to go for this, like ask in a Discord or something. It's like, yo, does anybody have a Snappy Griffin that they want to hatch? And I mean, come to my streams too. You know, it's like, I stream pretty regularly, and like, I will give you a land for this Snappy Griffin if you are a balance wizard trying to get started, because it's that good. I mean, I could gush about this pet all day. I could wax poetic about just how much of a godsend this pet really is and really has been for me while I'm questing. This is like the best thing that has ever happened to the balance school. Like Mana Burn got added back in like 2011 or whatever. So for me to say that, you know how it is. This is by far the best pet that a balance wizard can get. Second on the list, and a colossal step down, is the balance class pet. A colossal step down is the class pet that for some other schools has taken the #1 spot. So just to put that in perspective. And it's up there on the list, again, for all the same reasons that the others are. Pet Blade, Pet Sharpen, You'll love to see it. And then for the third place spot, another colossal step down is the Balance Glow Bug. I just put it there because it's like, it gives a blade and an enchant. That's kind of about it. And it's like, I wish that, like, I don't even have any honorable mentions, because what would I even put? what would I put? I might put, like, I don't even have any on me. I might put like the Balance Opossum, because it gives 2 buffs, just for like the most accessible type thing going on. But yeah, it's like, balance, as a balance, this is like, you gotta have it. So you don't have to do the Decathlon, you don't have to farm the Nightmare Gauntlet. You could just get this from a hatch, from a lens, and this is by far the best pet that a balance can get. Like, beeline for this as soon as you can. It's like, find somebody who can lend you a snappy griffin. So that is how you do it as a balance. Highly recommend, highly recommend getting that. So yeah, for sure. Definitely do that. So that is going to wrap up this extremely long-winded video. How long have I been recording for? 31 minutes and 12 seconds. How about that? So thank y'all for watching. I have been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.